particular, Finland, United Kingdom, Sweden, Denmark, and Luxembourg, only a tiny percentage of individuals were not using the internet last year. The worst results, on the contrary, are registered by Bulgaria, Romania, and Greece, where the percentage of individuals not accessing the internet last year was 33, 30, and 28, respectively. You can see also there is a reverse relationship between age and internet usage. In fact, younger people are more inclined to use the internet than older people. Among activities, sending and receiving emails and information research for goods and services are the most frequent activities in 2016. In fact, last year, 97% of online individuals sent or received emails, and 66% found information about goods and services. This slide shows social networks participation in Europe, in particular digital in 2017 by Real Social shows that in January 2017 more than 2.8 billion people use social channels at least once a month, and more than 21% of them using mobile devices. Facebook is the most platform used, with 1,871 billion of users. About e-commerce in Europe, we can see that online purchases increased from 30% in 2007 to 55% in 2016. The highest percentages were found for the younger people, and clothes and sports goods are the items most likely to be purchased online in the European Union, followed by travel and holiday accommodation and tickets for events. About enterprises, in particular total enterprises turnover from e-commerce, we can see that large enterprises which should have more resources to invest in digital channels and are more aware of the importance of e-commerce benefit more from e-commerce in 2016. In fact, 22% on average at European level. Ireland is the most advanced country. Internet banking. This slide shows the percentage of individuals users in 2016. The best performer is Denmark, so Northern Europe, with 88% of users in 2016, followed by Finland and Netherlands. The lowest percentage were registered, on the contrary, by Greece, Romania, and Bulgaria. The most active groups by age are in general 25 to 34 years old and 35 to 44 years old. The last government, in 2016, 48% of individuals in the European Union used internet, interact with public authorities. The percentage varied considerably across member states, ranging from 9% in Romania to 88% in Denmark. The most popular activity is obtaining information, followed by downloading official forms. Some slide about Internet of Things and big data. In particular, this slide shows the global market value of IoT. It is projected to pass the $1 trillion mark for the first time by 2070, a significant increase considering the mark was valued at around $600 billion in 2014. This represents a 25.1% average yearly increase over the 10-year period. Total European market size amounted to 366 billion euros in 2014, with UK, Germany, and France accounted for the majority of the total, in particular 55%. 5G, importance of the 5G employment. Allora, the total GDP contribution of 5G over the period 2020-2035 will amount to about $3 trillion, an average annual GDP growth of 0.2% is associated with 5G deployment. The data market value is expected to increase from current 59.5 billion euros to approximately 80 billion euros, with UK, Germany, France, and Italy accounting for 62% of the total. Germany has recently been surpassed by the UK that reached a market value of over 13 billion euros and is expected to grow further at a compound annual rate of 7% to approximately 18 billion euros in 2020. The impact of the data market on European economies is still small, but starts to be significant, ranging in 2016 from 0.59% in Luxembourg to 2.34% in the UK, with an European average equal to 2%, expected increase 2.48% by 2020. About the new relationship between companies and consumers. Consumers are tired of the standard marketing approach and largely perceive them as a spam. As they provide personal data, they are currently expecting brands to have solutions that use it intelligently. This slide shows that companies using messaging achieve better financial results. And then the benefit of social devotion are clear. Socially devoted brands have 3.5 times more interactions than their less responsive competitors. Telecommunication is by far the most open and reactive industry on Facebook and Twitter, answering to 88.6% and 51.8% respectively of their likers followers. In this environment, chatbots enter and promise a faster and more intelligent experience in line with consumer expectation. The change for chatbots are even greater when compared directly with apps, an area where businesses have invested heavily. Focus on the energy sector. Digitalization can boost profitably by 23.2%. The main impact of digitalization is on the retail area through the creation of new individual products and a better price customer segmentation. Global investments in IoT in 2016. In 2016, the first time industries which invest in IoT were manufacturing, transportation, and utilities. Most of the spending of the top industries is for specific use, in particular manufacturing operations, freight monitoring, and smart grids for electricity and gas. Percentage of 5G enabled output on the sector production in 2035, according with the provision, the percentage impact of 5G enabled output thank you. The percentage impact of 5G enabled output varies from 11.5% in information and communication sector to 2.3% in the hospitality sector, potentially realizing 273 billion, and utility 5G enabled output could represent 4.5% of the total production in the sector. This slide shows some apps which allow more efficient and a better consumption experience for consumers. Potential impact on the job market. Network optimization, in particular asset lifecycle management and aggregation and integrated customer services could generate a lot of new jobs. Energy storage integration are the initiative with the greatest potential, followed by smart asset planning and asset performance management. Analyzing transport sectors, we can see IoT investment in this sector. IoT spending in transportation accounted for 78 billion in 2016. Freight monitoring represented a large part of transportation expenditure. About the economic contribution of 5G in 2035, the output enabled by 5G in the transport and storage sector could reach 759 billion, almost 5% of the overall value, say, of 5G across all industry sectors, and it would contribute 5.6% to the total production of the transport and storage sector. About connected car revenue potential should reach 52.5 billion by the end of 2017, and then to grow to 156 billion in 2022. In the first semester of 2017, the European market of electric cars amounted to 62,300 registrations, an increase of 27.8% compared to the first quarter of 2016. The leading market in Europe is Norway, followed by United Kingdom, Germany and France. Car sharing, the last market was the Asia Pacific, followed by Europe and then North America. Although Asia Pacific was the largest market, Europe boasts the largest car sharing service per capita. Germany in particular was the European champion in car sharing in 2015. And now a case study, the benefits of dynamic pricing. In particular, we speak about Uber. At the end of the concert of a pop superstar at Madison Square Garden in 2015 caused a large spike in demand for Uber. In particular, the number of riders that opened the app after the concert spiked up to 4 times the normal number of app openings. Because of this increase of demand relative to the number of available Uber cars in the area, surging kicked in, fluctuating between 1 and 1.8 for over an hour after the concert ended. So the question is, why was dynamic pricing beneficial for both drivers and consumers? It increased the number of drivers in the area, signaling that it was a valuable time to be on the road, and driver supply increased the overpressured baseline. It allocated rights to those that value them most. So, digital are revolutioning our lives, business production. So, internet revolutioning the relationship between business and consumer. The most important mission for Europe, for European institutions and national government, is ensuring that no country or group is left behind by the digitalization process. Institutions should encourage adequate investment in connectivity and in services, with a direct role to play in e-government, reducing barriers to the digital transformation. The presence of competing providers and or services maximizes efficiency, so public institutions could refrain from interfering in market mechanism. Privacy and security, as well as unfair business practice, are areas which deserve a tight oversight and, in case of breach, severe sanctions. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Silvia. So now we can move to the debate, and I ask Jacqueline Battista to, of course, is the head of sector of e-commerce in the DG Connect, to give her perspective on these issues. Of course, e-commerce is one of the most important digital channel between consumers and companies, and so it's very important to have your perspective, especially on what you are doing in reducing barriers and boosting e-commerce, especially between different countries, and what are the barriers that you envisage, and how do you think you can, the European institutions and of course the national institutions implementing also the European legislation can do in order to reduce these barriers?
Yes. Thanks, Stefan, for the invitation already, and let me congratulate you for this very good work, which I had already the opportunity to look at yesterday. So I looked at some of the results. I think nothing surprising, but it shows that the trend that we have been observing since a while is really going on. And as you rightly conclude, I mean, that the opportunities for the digitalization process are huge and that we should really take benefit of them. We have announced lately in the midterm review what the Commission is planning to do with regard to the digital single market, and of course e-commerce is a bit at the heart of it. I mean, shall I come closer? Halfway through the mandate and looking a bit ahead at what we can still aim at proposing before the end of this legislative term, I think we have put the accent on three main issues which seem to be very relevant for us, and one of it is indeed the platforms economy, which is at the heart, where e-commerce is really at the heart of it, together with aspects concerning data security and cyber security, and I think that all is really very important aspects for the digitalization in general. So we've seen we have announced some additional legislative and non-legislative action that will be following up on these aspects. But of course, other than that, we are very busy in the implementation of all the proposals of we spoke initially about 16. Somehow in the midterm review, they ended up being doubled, and we talked about 32. I haven't really counted the difference of counting, but I think it's so. Of course, that will keep us mainly busy. So with the work ongoing. But I think these things you're pretty much familiar with, while I thought I would rather come with something different, which is a bit commenting maybe on the study and on what we are reflecting on currently in the area of e-commerce, which is, of course, in my view, a bit very close to the work you've been doing. I mean, I agree totally with the conclusions of the study that you're saying that the digital services are a bit revolutionizing the social and economic context in which the B2C interactions are taking place. You talk about the decentralized marketplaces in which the citizens and the consumers, the businesses all operate together, and the changing role of social media, all these aspects I think are extremely relevant indeed. I mean, in a change of society that is going more and more towards from a society of owning a house, owning a car, so towards sharing, of course there is a lot of challenges and differences that are appearing, and the same goes with a never more mobile society. I mean, more and more, I don't think you've shown this in the slides, but more and more commerce is done via the apps, via our mobile devices, and therefore the mobile-first approach has to really continue, because the trends also show that that is going to be more and more what we will be using in the future, and therefore all the challenges that are connected to it, from the font that appears on the screens, and so to ensure that everyone can continue to read these things. I myself need the glasses to do that, and so let's imagine also the older generations, and so if we really want them to 100% profit from this. So I think indeed these are very important aspects. Other ones which I also see, and I don't think you have touched on, is, for example, what is going to happen with the opportunities of the blockchain technologies, or what is happening around there. I was talking in Barcelona at the annual conference of Eurocommerce on this issue, and we had a very interesting debate in the panel. And I think, I mean, of course, there is a lot of opportunities we can see there. We have to, we stay, of course, prudent and want to ensure that what the Commission will follow, it will invest and it will propose to have sandboxes to experiment as much as possible to gain experience before everyone launches itself too heavily into that. But so that is a bit also our role. But I think that indeed it's a big opportunity that we can look at, and that is changing totally also the dynamics, because of course one of the aspects it throws into the debate is also the role of the platforms. Right now, the blockchains that exist operate through platforms, but more and more it's about, it's not only about a Bitcoin or other kind of digital currency. We're talking about much more than only the payment in cryptography. We're talking about the possibility of chaining different kinds of processes, and e-commerce is a subsequence of processes from the order up to the delivery of a product. So indeed, these are all aspects which are coming up and that are extremely interesting, and where indeed this could change the situation, especially if we consider that the consumer is then present himself and with an identity which of course needs to be verified. So very importantly, work we're continuing to do on EIDAS and on the e-signature and all these elements. But he can then exist on his own and operate as an individual. And so I think all this will indeed add up new elements into the debate that can change this. We are indeed looking at all these things. I mean, the study was, at the end of the study, it says the role of a bit in the Commission and in general the public bodies should be really to accompany this process and to ensure that no country or group is left behind with digitalization, and that we should encourage the adequate investments in connectivity and in digital services. And I think that's precisely what we are doing and what we want to continue to do. With regard to the place of consumers and in particular e-commerce, I'm also reflecting on, of course, the future of e-commerce, looking at the trends that are appearing and how we think the e-commerce should be looking in the future. We haven't announced any specific action on that in the midterm review, but of course we're looking at, first of all, are we really talking still about e-commerce? Is it digital trade? Shall we move to different terminology? Because we don't really believe anymore in an online or offline versus offline world, but rather an integrated world where this all has to happen together, and where the real future is for those who will provide also direct experience through social media. And we see that the consumer is more and more willing to engage with the brands, with the other users, is more and more relying on the reviews. So of course our role is as well to ensure that the trust stays there and that we do the most of it out of it. I think reviews are extremely important tool. People just have also to know on what basis you can do the reviews. Of course, I try to refuse differently if I know that a review can only be done by someone who has effectively used the service because it's digitally been traceable or so. Like a drive on a Uber car, as we have Antoine, I'll take the example, but there's tons with regards to others where you don't really know has the consumer really had the experience so far. So what we're looking at in terms of future of e-commerce is really what we could come up with for this Europeanization of digital policy and the opportunities that are linked to this digital transformation that you highlight and we see. considering a two-step approach. Of course, first to do all the research is available. I don't think we will do anything before the next commission, which is at least policy-wise. But we're, of course, looking into the data that could then potentially allow at some point to take a decision on what else, what after these digital single market actions, and what can be more targeted to solving some of the key opportunities and challenges. I mean, we have identified a few challenges other than those which have been described in the DSM. One of those is they are very similar to those we see in general. So, for example, it's the lack of access of information to being able to go online. A lot of DSM actions, I always say, are great for those who are already convinced to be wanting to be online, because you make it easier to do the contracts, to get the parcel delivered. But what about those who have never come online yet, who are still offline and don't even know where to start with? A bit the same issue what we're saying, let's digitalize European companies, but also, let's help them to establish their webshop, or at least to have the information. Then you're free to decide if you still want to go your old way, and but be aware of what is out there and how this is going to be evolving in the future. Of course, other aspects about barriers that still exist and so. And there's a lot of ideas going around about what we could want to possibly do, from a brand coalition of SMEs or other kind of a more active role also in the international sphere, and the role of e-commerce and so. But I will not spoil all the surprise, because I hope that in the 2 years to come, you all are going to come to see me regularly to discuss and contribute to the future of the e-commerce project, which I'm leading in the Commission. So I reserve the time for that then.
Thanks, Jasmine. Actually, just we said something on blockchain only on the energy chapter, and it was actually in a recent report in Italy we presented 2 weeks ago. We made further several pages on blockchain in the energy sector. So it's something that we have in mind, even if it's a wonderful suggestion for our next report on consumers and digital. So thanks. And now I would like to ask Guy Van Peel to give your view of these issues and of the relationship between consumers and businesses in the digital world. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you for inviting me, and congratulations on the extensive report. I haven't been able to process all the data yet, as you understand. So I work for Testancoop, or Testachat in French, here in Belgium. This is the most important consumer defense organization. We are associated with consumer organizations in Italy, Altroconsumo, Spain, OCU, DECO in Portugal. And so I would like to just briefly talk about what we see as value on one hand for consumers, and the possible issues or risks on the other hand. So the digital economy is definitely, and I think the previous speakers have already mentioned, this is definitely changing the way consumers are consuming products from companies. We, as a consumer defense organization, we definitely acknowledge the value that comes with digital products and services. One important thing that we are seeing is that actually from the buying of products, we are going ever more to the consumption of services. And I'm specifically referring to what is happening with the Internet of Things today. So all kinds of products are getting connected to the Internet. And now you're not just buying a washing machine anymore. You're buying a washing machine that comes with software, that comes with connectivity, that comes with a service. And this is, for us, a very significant and important change. We see value in the fact that for consumers there might be savings in terms of money, savings in terms of time. There is added convenience. There is also a possibility, even because in the Internet of Things there's a lot of focus going to health-related products. An increased feeling of control of the consumers, who has the world literally in his hand with his cell phone. There are opportunities for increased safety.